What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first book haul video on the King Crusoe YouTube channel and the first part of the bookshelf tour for the channel. I was originally hoping a couple months ago, when I was originally planning to start this series and start the channel back up and do book related stuff, I was hoping to do like a whole 2021 book haul video, like everything that I got, since I was only collecting books a couple of the months out of the year. But the amount of books that I collected throughout the year is absurd. The video would be way too long, it just wouldn't be practical, and it would require me to show way too much of what I have on my bookshelves, and it would just be a pain in the butt to record and everything like that. So I'm limiting this to just a Christmas book haul with a couple items that I got in December in general. Just as a result of some of the size of the items that I got in December, this is also bookshelf tour number 1, where I show off individual shelves of what I have on my bookshelves and just kind of talk about all the items that are on them a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started with the Christmas book haul section. Now, I just want to start this part off by saying, when I was young, I used to get books for Christmas almost every year for a pretty large space of time. Then I went a couple years without reading, where I just, probably 2018 through 2020 or so, I didn't read very much. Maybe just a couple books a year, if that. So those years I actually didn't get any books for Christmas either. This year I put a few $100s worth of books into a wish list for my mom to look through and just kind of surprise me with. Alrighty, let's start off with item number 1 that I actually got for Christmas. The first thing that I got was actually a boxed set of the full Maze Runner series. So what this includes is the Maze Runner, which I actually have read before and really loved. It's gotta be an all-timer for me. I'm actually of the opinion that all of the movies were really good, even though they're different from the books. It's a strangely unpopular opinion, but I adore those movies and this first book. So when I read The Maze Runner, like I said, it was easily an all-timer for me. It was one of the quickest and most exciting reads that I've ever had in my life to memory. I just remember it being super good. But then when it came to The Scorched Trials, which is the immediate sequel, I actually never finished reading this book. I can't remember why. It's one that I did technically DNF, but since I do have plans to be reading this at some point in time, I'm counting it on the to be finished list later. There's that. But then the set came with The Death Cure, which is the third book. I actually really liked this movie, although I gotta say I hate the fake movie stickers that come with the books, but you know, that's just me. Actually, I think most major book fans hate having these fake stickers on them, but then it also came with the 2 prequels, which I admittedly don't really care about one way or the other. I don't really care, but I'll include them in the reading of the series when I get to them, just because they're there, but I admittedly don't really have too much excitement for these 2 books. It's mostly the main trilogy. So there's item 1. Item number 2 for this list is a book by an author that I've read a couple books of before and really enjoyed, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I believe that's how you say his name. I could be mistaken. I read The Martian. I've read The Martian a couple times, actually, probably even 3. I've seen the movie twice, every single time, but I've seen the finale of the movie a 3rd or 4th time. Every single time that climax happens, I nearly burst into tears. It is so good. One of the best movie adaptations of a book ever. And the book is really good. I'm actually of the unpopular opinion that Artemis is a good book. Like, it's nowhere near the level of The Martian from what I remember, because I did read it like 4 years ago when it came out. But I did actually really enjoy Artemis at the time. So I will be rereading those 2 and reading this book for the first time at some point over the next couple years as kind of bite-sized in-between books to fit in the middle of big fantasy series that I read. I've actually, not gonna lie, I'm slightly disappointed by having the hardcover of this book, mostly because I have the trade paperback of both The Martian and Artemis, and I really like those trade paperbacks, and the spine and the cover of this book and the trade paperback is really attractive to me, and I really like it, but I could not find it anywhere online to put into a wish list for my mom, so I just put the hardcover in. I mean, it's fine, but I definitely wish I had that trade. Item number 3 on this list is actually a companion to one of the series that I already own, and that is the Wheel of Time Companion. I actually wasn't entirely sure what this book was when I put it on the wish list, but I knew that basically all of the big Wheel of Time fans and readers that I know have this, and it looks pretty nice. Like, I just love the symbol of the series here. But it turns out, when I opened this book, I found that it's basically just an 800 or maybe even 900 page, like an 800 page glossary for all of the names and places and whatnot in the series, and man, I'm just going to say that this will be very handy to look through as I'm going through the series, and it looks nice on my shelf, so there's that. And last but not least on the list for the Christmas section of this book haul is Dune, the deluxe edition copy of the book, which is actually really nice. I didn't know before putting it into the wish list that the pages were blue, and they look really pretty. Just the contrasting of that blue, like the contrast of the blue and the orange, and even like having this little several blurbs from different people on the back. These look really nice. Like, this is probably the first book that I've ever seen this be a thing for, where the entire inside of the jacket is just a piece of art, and I think it just looks incredible. It's really beautiful, and I love the color of it all. It's just a really, really nice copy, and I gotta say, the book itself is actually a significant amount larger than I was expecting it to be. No plans to read this yet, like, not on any schedule, but it'll probably happen here relatively soon, because I have watched the 2021 movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, even as somebody who has not yet read the book, and I'm very excited for the sequel. I'll probably throw it into my schedule sometime around Dune Part 2 comes out. So, there's that. And now we come to the non-Christmas portion of the December book haul. So, I'm just going to say that this is where part 1 of the bookshelf tour technically starts. When I show off all the items that come on one shelf, I'm going to put a picture probably right there of what that shelf looks like. They're really nice, but because most of these items actually fit on a couple shelves really well, that's how I'm cutting it off. So here we're going to start with item number 1, and all of these items are actually rather large, so it'll take me a bit to kind of go through these. Item number 1 is actually Ranger's Apprentice, the entire series. This is just book 1. I'm admittedly a much larger fan of what the original covers of several of these first few books looked like with the smaller hardcovers, but I don't mind the actual art of these, mostly just because they're simple and sweet in a way that I really like, just kind of an item on the cover, and that just being it. I really like that. I am admittedly a little bit mixed on some of these specific copies of the books, though. Let me find a couple examples to show ya, because I actually already showed them on screen. The spines are pretty not good. For example, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you can see on the bottom that spine where the blue peeks out at the bottom, and then the continuation, this pattern that's supposed to still be on the spine, actually shows up on the front. I cannot stand that. Like, it's like they didn't even really mix or match the size of what it was supposed to be with the book well enough, or they didn't line it up before print. I don't know how you make these. Like, I just don't, so I don't know how difficult it is, but this is the first time I've seen something like it be as bad as it is, especially like in this one, because the entirety is like just a whole 1/8 of an inch off. On this first book, it's just lopsided, but let me show off some of these last couple ones. The set for this series actually comes with 12 books, because the original publishing of the series had 12 books. There were 10 normal books, and then an 11th one that was a collection of stories to fill out some gaps in the timeline and whatnot. I really love this purple, by the way. Like, this is probably my favorite color, the kind of purple indigo. I love purples and indigos like this. Here's book 10. This is probably the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that has a significantly different color scheme than the original cover, because the original cover was more red. And this one's green, but that's fine. I really like this cover. That's the 11th one, which is just the Lost Stories, like I said. And then the 12th book is actually, it was originally published as the 12th book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, then it was republished as the first book of a kind of spin-off series that probably has like 6 or 7 books in it at this point, I don't know. But because it was originally published as book 12, they still included it with the set, and basically the only thing that did, including this in it, especially with it being printed as book 1 of the Royal Ranger, it basically makes me feel obligated to now complete this series, if not the rest of John Flanagan's works, which I'm also interested in, but either way, it's fine. Like, my bookshelves are fine as they are. I don't need to get more Ranger's Apprentice books until I finish reading this series, because they are scheduled over the next couple years. So there's that. Second on this part of the list is the Legacy Trilogy by Matthew Ward. I admit that this was definitely an impulse buy. I saw somebody in a Discord that I'm part of show these off in a book haul that they made, and these covers are just the sexiest things that I've seen in a very long time. Like, they all just look incredible. I know nothing about the series. I knew nothing about the series when I bought them. I just knew that they looked awesome, and I bought them. They look amazing. They're really thick, though. Like, they're really thick. You would think that they're bigger than they are in terms of word count, but I did a little bit of research and found that these books probably actually have only like 60 to 70% at most the amount of words as your average Wheel of Time book, so they're not like obscenely long, because the word count is nowhere near, or the amount of words on each page is nowhere close to that as what you would find in, say, a normal Wheel of Time book, because those books are really condensed. But they're real thick. I strangely cannot wait to read these books, even though I know nothing about them. They are actually scheduled for sometime in early to mid 2025, I believe, is when I'll be getting around to them. But I just could not resist them because of the covers, like I said. I don't think anybody would be able to look at these and not say that they look awesome. So there's that. And now that I've showed off those, as well as a couple of the items that I got in the Christmas book haul, this is what a picture of one of these shelves on my bookshelf actually looks like. It's the very top shelf on the left bookshelf that I have. They're kind of smaller shelves, but I just think it looks really cool this way. So there's this image. I don't know how much of it was covering my face. I'll try to do editing to not cover my face, unless it's really gross, because it probably is. But now we come to the final item on this part of the list, and that is Redwall by Brian Jacques. And when I say Redwall, I don't mean just this first book. I mean all 22 of the books. I'll throw an image here because they actually take up one entire shelf. I can't remember where these are. I think they're like 3 shelves from the bottom, but they take up an entire shelf because they're 22 books. It's a lot of them. This purchase was actually motivated by 3 different things, and I'll just continue showing each cover off as I talk. The first major motivation for this series was that I actually checked out the first Redwall book from the public library when I was in like 4th grade or something like that, but my reading skill was not that great at the time. I was a very low-level reader. I didn't even learn how to read until probably 2 months or 2.5 months or so before I started public school in 3rd grade. So because of that, I didn't really have the skill that it would take to read these books. They are targeted towards younger audiences, but that doesn't mean that a 4th grader who's only been reading for a year would be able to read one. So I always wanted to read that book. There was animated movie based on one of the Redwall books, I guess, maybe, I don't know for sure, that came out in 2000 that I actually really loved. Like, that movie was one of the bits of my childhood that I hold most fondly. And every single time I see any type of reference to Redwall as a series, I always think about that and want to read them. And that kind of leads into the second major motivation for purchasing these. That would be that, generally speaking, I would still love to read these books. They are actually scheduled right now to go all the way from like mid-2023. Let's see. Yeah, I can maybe show them off better on the side. They're scheduled from mid-2023 to like late 2026, only reading like one book every 2 months so as to avoid burnout. Even though they're going to be probably real short, quick, easy reads, I don't want to read too much of the same series and just kind of get burnt out on the whole thing as a whole. So they are scheduled pretty split out to read in between a bunch of other series that will be taking place during that time. Like I said, there's 22 of these, and I'm actually showing off 19 right now. Oh, because I grabbed the wrong stack, that's fine. Whatever, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, y'all can just appreciate these covers as they are. Sorry for the glare of the ring light, but I'm trying my best here. Like I said, there's a lot of books. I don't want to read them all in a short space of time and just absolutely start to hate read them by the end or anything like that. Like, that just wouldn't be enjoyable. So that goes into the third and final point, or the third major reason why I made the decision to buy these, and that was, this is actually a very long-term thing. They'll make great stories to read for future kids. Like I said, they are actually targeted towards younger audiences, like middle school age kids, maybe even elementary school kids if a parent were to read them to the kids. So I kind of want to read these books to future kids. If I end up enjoying them enough and find that they're worth reading to kids, I would love for Redwall to be kind of an introduction into the joys of reading and fantasy as a genre. And now this is one of the last books to show off. Sorry, there's only one more, and that's this one. So there's that whole series. There are actually, I will just point this out, there are actually 2 more items that I did get in December, but I'm choosing to redact them. Firstly, because this video is already getting a little bit long. It's upwards of 25 minutes in my recording. I don't want to make the video too much longer, but I'll also just generally be talking about those 2 items in the next book haul and bookshelf tour video, because they're parts of different shelves. The reason that I chose to show these off the way that it did was because they fit perfectly on 2 shelves, not including a couple of the special items that I got for Christmas. But come back again in the middle of February, the second Friday of February, for the January book haul and bookshelf tour video, because I'll have much more to show off then. I am going to be reducing my purchases of books over the next few months because I have a lot of shelves to kind of go through, and I want to not spend several thousand more dollars on books in 2022. So that's a goal that I'll try to keep, but overall, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck around through the whole thing, I really appreciate it. If you want to see more of my content, consider liking the video and subscribing and ringing the bell, all that YouTube stuff, because YouTube's weird. But if you want an easy, quick place to get all of my videos in one easy spot, as well as all of the writing that I do, because I do self-publishing on my website, go to seasonalproductions.com. You can get everything there for free, like perfectly for free. All of my writing, all the videos, everything is free there. I do have a whole ton of content coming down the pipeline, so please consider sticking around for all of that. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back again in the next one.